Hello, it's Julia Sudo here with first episode of my challenge mode playthrough of Bites' Monkey Ball 2. Um, and yeah, so we are going to be doing beginner to start off, of course. In this mod, there are a couple of important changes to challenge mode. The first is that there are 10 more levels per difficulty, so like they're just per the main difficulties, not for master and not for the extras. It just, it's just, so it's 20, 40, 60 instead of 10, 30, 50, plus, 10 extras, 10 master stages, 10 master extra. And then you also only have 5 lives, and that's unchangeable. So you see, I can't actually change this. I can change it to be lower, I guess, but not any higher. So you're stuck to 5, which makes it a lot harder. But the game's balanced around it. So you actually only need 50 bananas to get an extra life, and just generally, like it's there are a lot more bananas and so on. Like it's balanced around needing these more bananas. And also you'll notice, unlike challenge mode, this or unlike story mode, challenge mode uses the original level themes from Super Monkey Ball 1, actually. Not those from Super Monkey Ball 2, even though this is a Super Monkey Ball 2 mod. Though, from what I've heard, these themes are included in the base game, just unused, so that's why they're so easy to implement. This being beginner, these levels are quite simple. If you watched my story mode playthrough, you might recognize some of these because it does, there are a fair number of levels shared between story mode and challenge mode, though not, unlike the original game, not it's not one-to-one. Especially since there are more challenge mode levels than story mode levels, which there are in the original game too, but now there are more in the main difficulties too. And wow, okay, this is kind of laggy on this. I'm guessing it's definitely my recording equipment because I was just playing challenge mode again to test it out. My recording equipment's causing it to lag a bit, but yeah, you'll notice the bonus stages in this have a ton of bananas, though it's very difficult to get them all in this case. So it's actually harder to get them here than it is later on. I probably won't bother with getting all the bananas on every bonus stage because some of them are very lengthy and you do have a very long time limit. I think you have about, I believe you have about, what was I saying? You have about 120 seconds. I think it's 180 seconds per bonus stage, so it is a very lengthy amount of time that they give you in order to complete it. Yeah, and here you can actually just drop down. I think Bites talked about how he included obvious skips in these levels on purpose just for experienced players, which is definitely cool. Definitely mimics the style of the original games, especially the first one. Which I do like. Yeah, and so I feel like this is kind of the first level that has significant challenge factor here, although I'm not playing this as a kid, of course, so I don't really know how you would feel if you're a new player. Not that I suppose this should be really expected to be played by new players, considering it's a mod that probably is going to be played by somebody who's already familiar with the series, but still, I mean, it is beginner mode, so you expect it to be relatively simple. And yeah, so we're not going to get all the bananas here because we definitely don't need them. And yeah, but it's a cool bonus stage, it's just kind of some stars and you can get the bananas on them. Anyhow. Yeah, and so here, I guess, now we see we're on stage 11, which wouldn't normally even be in beginner. So, yeah, you can see how the number of stages has increased, which is really cool. I mean, honestly, this game is, in some ways, I mean, I suppose not from a technical standpoint, just given that it's not, actually, built from the ground up, but in terms of content, this actually like beats out Super Monkey Ball 2 significantly. It has more levels in challenge mode and just more levels overall since there are fewer shared between story mode and challenge mode. And I think that's pretty cool. Also, shout out to the music in this theme. I'm a huge fan of it. Some of the most memorable music in like a video game to me from like my childhood, along with like Wario World, Greenhorn Forest. Like that song is also a bop, and also from one of the first video games I played. Shout outs to that, and shout outs to this, because I remember spending a lot of time listening to this song when I was doing like early, expert 7 attempts or whatever. And by the way, we will be doing warps in a separate video after I'm done with all of challenge mode, I think. So there are a few warps in beginner mode and a lot more later on. So we'll cover those later. It's not. I just want to cover all stages. It's not. These two certainly aren't too difficult. We already did this one in story mode, but. Just since we want to cover all stages, I'll hold off on doing them until later. This stage heavily reminds me of Cliff from, I think I know there's both a Cliff and a Cliffs, and the other, like, one of them is, like, the one from Super Monkey Ball 2. It's, like, sort of, like a adaptation of, like, Beginner 9 from the first game, and then the other one is just like this, and it's in Deluxe, only. I think that one's Cliff as opposed to Cliffs, because it's kind of only one cliff, which makes sense. Yeah, but other than that, I don't know. This is probably like one of the toughest stages in beginner, although it's especially if you go for the warp. But of course, we're not going for the warp. Yeah, and I like this one. I think this one's in story mode too. I think we've already done it. It was either in story mode or it was in Monkey Ball 1, which is only story mode. So there are a fair number of stages that were originally in story mode in Monkey Ball 1, but are only in challenge mode in this, since now challenge mode wasn't in the original. I know this is in story mode. It's in like the water world in story mode, I think. Or it's either in the water world or it's like the last level of the desert world. I can't remember which. But one way or another. Okay. So, with that done, I think we got no deaths, so that's kind of nice, I guess it's an accomplishment. It's only beginner mode, though. Certainly be dying on an expert, I would assume. But, for now, we're going to be headed off to the extra stages. Beginning with this one, which I think is pretty cool, because it's got rainbow colors. LGBT pride and so on. I'm serious. I like the design, but it's also mostly a reference to like Norse mythology / potentially Marvel Comics, whichever one you want to take it as, I suppose. So it's a cool level. It appeals to everyone in some way, whether you like Norse mythology, whether you like LGBT pride, whether you like Marvel Comics, There's something for everyone. And wow, this stage is a lot laggier than I expected it to be. But no big deal. I guess it's good. It gets a little better now. I'm still surprised how much this lags when I have my recording equipment on. I wouldn't expect it to affect things that much. But I guess it does. Which is unfortunate. Yeah. So hopefully it'll be better on later stages. The extra stages are all Space Town, so yeah. This stage, Tilt Path, there's another stage a ton like it, an expert extra called Tilt Wire that's like half the width or less. I think it's like a 1.0, so it's like maybe like a quarter of the width of this. So yeah, it gets considerably harder later on. Although I didn't find Tilt Wire that hard personally, I guess it, again, is just the sort of thing that, like, appeals to my skills, as I've mentioned in my story mode videos. Like, some things might be hard for certain people, but they're not hard for others. I know I'm pretty good at dealing with, like, tilted stuff most of the time. I don't know, more than others who would have specific trouble with that. Which is not to say I'm like super crazy good at the game, but just, I mean, there are certain things that really throw me off, like brackets, like edge master type movement, as I've mentioned. Really not something that works that well for me. I always found this kind of thing to be relatively simple as well, this kind of expert 46 type movement. Yeah, never was too hard for me. I know a lot of people don't like to take the warp on expert 46 in the original game, but I always do because it works well for me. We almost had our first death there, but not quite. Yeah, we're all good. Oh, and this level is just wild. I don't even know how this, like, physically works. This is, like, some surreal, like, magic shit. I wouldn't even expect to see this in the original games. Like, wow. Also, like, the goal features are missing, which Bytes is, like, acutely aware of because people are constantly mentioning it on the server. So, like, you know, like, that's valid of him. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't really know about, like, the you know, the intricacies of stage development, so I assume it's something that, you know, can happen, and is not the biggest deal in the world. So, you know, respect. This one's also, like, this, I feel like this level's really hard for, beginner extra. I mean, which is not a bad thing, you know, it's just like, but wow, this one's challenging. I would expect if I were a newer player, like, that would be the one that really tripped me up. And then this one is just, like, I don't know, it's just a fun sort of thing where you have to, like, bounce into the goal. I like this. It's exciting. Yeah. So that concludes beginner. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate you coming by. You know, I think Mimi's supposed to say something here, but she's not. I'm not sure what that's about, but I assume it has to do with the text being edited by Bytes or something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.